The amazing evolution of these pieces. You really start with heads, and then you get the installation and the full-length figures that really come out of the heads.
One of the ways that the figure grew out of the head has to do with the problem of what do you put a head on when you make a head to make it a full statement of a piece of sculpture. And I noticed at a certain point I began to make the necks in such a way that they began to suggest feet almost, or the summary bodies as part of a process of the solution of how do you do a head if you're not doing a bust. Where do you cut it? That's always a somewhat uncomfortable and arbitrary solution for almost any kind of historical bust. But what had preceded the heads were long years of drawing. And that was really the basis, ultimate basis of everything, was that concentrated, extremely concentrated, intense figure drawing, which just went on day after day after day.
I'm a sculptor. I met Jonathan in 1984. He was my teacher at the studio school. And from the mid-'80s on, I worked with him in his studio doing casting work and then helping him set up his installations. The way he tried to work into the figure kind of sense of monumentality and intransigence without reference to narrative.
Coming out of that background of formalism, you know, the formalist interpretation of abstract expressionism, which now seems to me, fortunately, abstract expressionism is a lot better than its formalist interpretation. You know, and if it were that rigid and narrow and empty as Clement Greenberg would have it, then there wouldn't be much to look at. I was giving a lecture and I was showing autumn rhythm to a class. And I hadn't shown it to a class for a very long time, and I think the last time I'd shown it, I still was giving that interpretation of the fact that he was this painting full of organic suggestiveness, and yet there were no obvious figurative references and blah, blah, blah. And I put the thing up on the screen, and it was just thronged with faces and heads, and I thought, Jesus, you know? I mean, I was so under the impression of this taboo against their not being there that I didn't see them, you know. I mean, it was like that whole system of thought read out of our experience, our direct experience, you know. What I did was I did make often a plaster head that was completely sealed, and then I broke away half of it into a hole, which became a space, which had to be filled with the fragments. And in those pieces, the ones that I made with the little bits and fragments, they really do begin to extrude. So there is a gradual growing out of everything into the environment from very small beginnings.